Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah, the founder of Connect Our Elders, and today I have Pete Tentler, a certified reverse mortgage specialist with me, and I am really excited to have Pete with me today because we go way back to the days of him before he even got into this part of mortgages. You were doing some sort of alternative financing, I think, back in the day, and
Right.
I think I was selling payroll at the time, or maybe, I was still at the San Diego Business
You were
Journal,
the
and I think
business journal.
I was trying to sell you advertising. So I'm super excited to have Pete here because we do have a long-standing friendship. And so, Pete, why don't you go ahead and tell us more specifically about who you are and what makes you special and what you care about?
Thanks, Sarah. My name is Pete Tentler. I'm a certified reverse mortgage professional designated by the National Reverse Mortgage Lenders Association of America. I'm one of less than 200 people nationwide that has a CRMP designation. I've been in mortgage lending since I graduated from Loyola University of Chicago back in mid 1990s, and by early 1990s. And in 1995, I was transferred to San Diego to start a reverse mortgage division for a company called Household Finance. And became a mortgage broker, was in and out. Was doing some alternative financing, got back into reverse mortgages when the housing market returned. And this is all I do right now. I don't do any other type of mortgage lending and no other type of lending, just reverse.
And what do people know you as? I will tell you guys in the audience. So Pete is known as the financial locksmith. And as we go through the questions today, you will understand what that means, why we refer to him as the financial locksmith. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the questions. So
Okay.
Pete, please share with us, why are people afraid of reverse mortgages?
Yeah, that's a very important question. A lot of people they're skeptical. They've heard stories from the past, but back in the when the reverse mortgage business first started out in 1989. It was kind of like the wild, wild west. There wasn't a lot of regulation, and some reverse mortgages companies said, "Well, we're going to take over your home, and we're going to pay you a mortgage payment, but when you die, we keep the home and all the remaining equity, and your heirs get nothing." And sometimes that was buried deep down in the paperwork, and seniors were not made aware of that, and some of them were losing their homes. That's all different these days. It's a much safer process. Over the years, I've helped hundreds of people enjoy their retirement better with a reverse mortgage. In some cases, it's not right for them. Okay. And I vet that out by asking them a series of questions. They ask me a lot of questions. And at the end of the meeting, we find out, all right, this is not for you. You're better off selling your home or moving in with family, or maybe the reverse mortgage is a perfect fit for you. And maybe it's just a standby reverse mortgage line of credit.
Right.
So there's just a lot of misconception out there. And it isn't just the seniors that misunderstand it. Sometimes it's a professional advisor, an attorney, financial advisor, tax advisor. I was on the call this morning with my CPA, and she had it all wrong. She's like, I thought they lose the house. I go, no, this is how it works. And she's going, I think I got a couple of clients that would have benefit, with your service.
So the reason why I've always enjoyed having you as the reverse mortgage resource, Pete, is because you do act as an advisor, right? You're not just saying, oh, this is an opportunity and I'm going to make this stick with them because you want to do what's good for you, right? You're really looking at the situation and figuring out, is this the right solution for them? Is this going to be the overall most beneficial solution for them? And I think that the attorneys in San Diego and the wealth managers and, elder care specialists like myself, we really appreciate that approach that you take. With that said, so I always say, I still think that there's a lot of stigma around reverse mortgages. And what I usually tell people is that, like with anything, it needs to be an arrow in the quiver, right? It needs to be a resource that's considered, and they need to work with a professional like you who can guide them through the process to figure out if it is in fact the right choice. Right. So let's talk about those misconceptions. What is the most common misconception when it comes to reverse mortgages?
That the borrower, the homeowner, signs their home over to the bank, and that the heirs get nothing. And what I do is when I hear that, and especially with the professional advisors out there, when I hear that, I say, give me just a few minutes to explain to you, just a few minutes to explain how it actually works. And when they realize that the house doesn't need to be free and clear, they keep title to the home. They have the option of getting a monthly payment, or maybe it's a lump sum to pay off a big mortgage, or maybe it's just a standby line of credit. These are options that they have. They always own the home. So when they sell the home, they keep all the remaining equity. Or when their heirs inherit the home and they pay off the reverse mortgage, usually by selling the home, they keep all the remaining equity. And
so how is this any different? How is this any different than a home equity loan?
Great question. That is a really good question. So like a home equity line of credit, or HELOC, as it's called in the banking terms, it's the same, whereas whatever you borrow accrues interest. Okay. After that, completely different direction. The HELOC requires mortgage payments. So the borrower or homeowner has to qualify with income. Now, a lot of seniors or retired people, their challenge is that they just have one source of income in retirement, Social Security, maybe a pension, maybe some savings. If that's all they have is that income, that little Social Security income, they're going to have a hard time qualifying for a HELOC. The reverse mortgage, remember, does not require mortgage payments. Okay. So it's a lot easier to qualify for, and to qualify for more money than a HELOC. So no mortgage payments versus a payment. The HELOC is limited to a 10-year draw term. So after 10 years, if they want to draw more money off that line of credit, they have to reapply. So what happens in 10 years when your income is pretty much the same, but you've racked up some more debt? Your debt to income ratio closes. Now you're qualifying for less money.
Okay.
The other part, and the reverse mortgage is good forever.
Okay. So let's say I have an elder client who's trying to figure out, how am I going to pay for the caregivers that I need? And they do not want to leave their home, but they own their home outright. And how does this process work?
So I had a similar situation like this a few years ago. This woman had a home, and it was worth about $600,000. Her late husband just recently passed away, and then she realized that this guy racked up $75,000 in credit card debt. She had a small mortgage, but a big interest rate and a big mortgage payment. So her credit union, even though she had something like $450,000 in equity, she only qualified for $25,000 from her bank. And she was concerned about healthcare costs. Yeah. She didn't want to borrow a lot of money right away. So I came in, and she had all this equity locked up, and she just wanted a line of credit, pay off the mortgage, pay off the credit card bills, and have access to a credit line for some part-time in-home care. Okay. So we did this, and she ended up qualifying for, I think, about $375,000. So
that's a whole lot more than $25,000.
Right. The HELOC from the credit union was only $25,000, and now she's getting $375,000.
Wow.
And when we've signed the final loan documents and the notary went away, she says, stick around, have some tea. And I'm like, okay. She says, I had all this equity locked up into my home, and I couldn't get access to it. And then you came along and unlocked it. She's like, you're like a locksmith. And that's when it hit me. The financial locksmith allows you to unlock the equity in your home and secure your financial future. So now she's got all this credit line that she can use to home improvements, in-home care. That's
home modifications.
Modifications, right?
But if she has to modify her home to go along with her needs as they increase, absolutely. And what I really appreciate, Pete, is that it wasn't until I came across, well, when, because I've known you for a long time, but when you started doing this and you started getting even more into it and well versed with it, is that in my mind, I had always considered a reverse mortgage just for if somebody needed to pay for caregiving needs, but that's not it. I mean, there's multiple ways that it can be used. So let's get into that. What are the most common uses of a reverse mortgage?
Paying off a mortgage, paying off an existing mortgage. Many times clients say to me, if you just get rid of my mortgage payment, we're good. Because that's $1,500 a month to $2,000 a month. That's a lot of money when you're just getting a little bit of Social Security income. Now, one time, I did a reverse mortgage for the daughter. The daughter was 50 something years old. And what was happening there was that the daughter was paying the mother's mortgage payment.
Okay.
The daughter and the father and her husband were fighting every month about that money. I mean, they could afford it, but the husband says, on principle, that money should be staying in our family. And she goes, fine, I'll stop the mortgage payments. Mom's home will get foreclosed and she moves in with us.
Yep.
And the husband said, write the freaking check.
Yeah.
So I came in, and by using a reverse mortgage on the mother's home, paying off that big mortgage and eliminating that mortgage payment, now the daughter doesn't fight with her husband anymore. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't fight about that. They fight about other things, but they don't fight about that.
Right. And you know what, that is an important point, and I'm going to have to talk about this in another session, but that, you know, the stress of caring for aging parents causes a lot of strife in marriages, and that's not something that is often talked about. So your example right there reminded me of that factor. And so it's great that you were able to help the mom, right? And also you probably played a hand in hopefully, you know, saving the marriage too.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that sandwich generation. They didn't want the mother to move in with them. The mother didn't want to move in with them. Mm-hmm. The mother wanted to live with dignity in her own home. And if she needed health care, she's got money left over on the credit line to pay for anything.
That's perfect. What about retirement? Do people ever say, okay, I'm going to do a reverse mortgage because I want to take this money and put it in some form of investments?
Well, they can do whatever they like with the money.
Okay.
I just say be very cautious on what you're doing with the money. If you're going to do that, be sure that that person that you're investing with is a certified financial planner, or he's got his designations, and it's not some fly by night. I'd be leery on an annuity, for example. So if you're borrowing all this money that's accruing interest, and then you put it over here in an annuity that's paying you, I don't know, 1% more than what the interest rate is accruing on your, just be concerned about that.
Okay, that's good advice. Can a reverse mortgage be used to purchase a home?
Yes. Yes, that's a big play. And it's only about 10 years since they started offering that. And realtors should really pay attention to that too. And perhaps yourself, Sarah. So if you go into somebody's home and it's, let's say there's stairs or 2 stories, that's going to be added cost to them to have take care of them. So
right.
If they're concerned about selling the home because they don't have a lot of equity to buy a new home. So, and this actually happened in San Diego a couple of years ago, where they only netted like $350,000 from the sale of the home. So they said, hey, downsizing for us. I mean, how are we going to buy a home with no mortgage if all we have is $350,000? There's no homes in San Diego County that's $350,000. So they're moving out of state, which means that downsizing for them meaning that they have to compromise on their new lifestyle, which they didn't want to do.
You know, grandkids, and, you know, be uprooted from maybe the friends that they still have left in the area. I mean, the entire thing is a huge traumatic transition.
It is. So I showed them that the reverse mortgage, based on their age, they could buy a $600,000 home, put 40% down. Okay. And then the rest is financed through a reverse mortgage, just like a traditional mortgage, except now no mortgage payment.
Wow.
They stayed in the area, just a few exits up from where their daughter lives and grandkids. And what was interesting on this was that the daughter said, "Hey, I've heard bad things about reverse mortgage. I'm really skeptical. What's going on?" I explained it to her, and she realized it sounds very safe, but it sounds too good to be true. I go, "Well, here's the catch, Jen, is that when you inherit the home, there'll be less equity for you to inherit, as opposed to them moving out of state and buying a $300,000 home free and clear." Excuse me. So I said, if you're depending on this home for inheritance, then maybe you should tell them to buy that home in Arizona.
Yeah.
And she said, "We don't need the inheritance. What we need are babysitters. And our parents can't baby. I need a date night with my husband. I want to sleep in on a Sunday. And my parents, they can't do that if they live that far away."
That is awesome. Yes, yes. That in itself, the amount of money that they would save,
Right.
So speaking about the inheritance, I have noticed over the years that, whenever I have brought up the reverse mortgage as a potential option for figuring out how to pay for mom or dad's care when I'm dealing with the adult children, whether it's the son or the daughter, I'm trying to figure out how to say this right, but sometimes you can tell that it is probably the right thing to do for mom and dad, but the adult children do not want to lose the house, right? They want to ensure that they inherit the house.
Right.
And so let's talk about that for a moment. If an elder gets a reverse mortgage, what happens to the house when they pass away?
It just goes to the heirs. Okay, so here's
People think it goes to the bank.
Right. No, it goes to whoever they heir it to, whether it's the children, whether it's the church, whether it's the animal shelter. It goes to the heirs. Now, the loan needs to be paid back upon them passing away. When there's no mortgage payments due as long as at least one borrower is still living in the home. When they permanently move out, whether they sell the home, pass away, move into an assisted living facility, the loan becomes due. And the lender will work with the heirs and say, okay, we understand that mom and dad lived in that house a long time. It needs to be updated, needs some repairs before we put it on the market. Maybe it's a soft market. The lender will know all these things. But essentially, the heirs have up to 1 year to sell the home. Keep in mind, though, interest will still accrue on that balance. So it behooves the family or whoever the heirs are to sell the home as quickly as possible. Now, they don't need to sell the home. If they've got the money in the bank or if they want to get a mortgage to pay off, the lender will work with them.
Okay, good. That's good information. What is the one takeaway that you want to share with professional advisors? Because I know you partner very closely with a lot of attorneys and CPAs and wealth managers. So for those types of people that are listening right now, what is the one takeaway that you want professional advisors to have?
Be sure you're working with somebody that knows reverse mortgages. There's a lot of mortgage brokers out there and a lot of very good mortgage brokers. A lot of times those mortgage brokers don't specialize in reverse mortgages, or they say we can do any type of loan. I had somebody recently said, "Hey, thanks for your help. Thanks for your quote. I'm taking it and I'm going to a mortgage broker that's a friend of mine." It happens. And then she called me 2 or 3 months later and says, "Hey, I got a referral for you." What happened to the mortgage broker guy? He screwed it up and it took longer and he didn't understand. He didn't have the answers. You want to work with somebody that understands it, that understands working with seniors. And I'm glad you emphasized and you pointed out that I'm not a salesman. I'm an advisor. Let's sit down at the kitchen table. Let's find out what your goals are. And let's find out if this is a right fit for you or not. If you decide that it's not your right fit, that's fine. If you change your mind, you know where I am.
I bet the little elder ladies just love working with you, don't they, Pete? Do they always want you to stay for tea and hang out and talk longer?
I had 3 loans fund last week, and 2 of them, I pick up the phone. "Hey, congratulations! I just got word your loan funded 15 minutes ago. It's all great." and they say, thank you because you've always been patient. You've been thorough. You've always returned my calls or answered the phone right away. I go, okay, anything else I can do? And she's like, I'm going to miss talking to you. And it's like, oh my gosh. And
I
two of them
know.
say that.
I know. I was in a provisors meeting this morning and we were talking about COVID and everything. And so one of the breakout sessions that we did, we had to think about what positive has come from the situation. And I said, there wasn't a lot of focus on our elders prior to COVID. And now people are recognizing and admitting that they were isolated before, but the fact that they're even more isolated now, it's really drawn national attention as to what are we going to do for our nation's elders, and it just breaks
Yep.
my heart because essentially prior to this, they just seem to have been forgotten.
Yep.
That. But yeah, so a lot of them, they get used to talking to you. So they're just going to want to, I'm sure that they still call you years later. Just
what's so fun about working with seniors is they always have some very interesting stories, whether they served in the military. I had a client a few years ago. I just found out recently he just passed away at 92. He was Iwo Jima.
Oh my
and
goodness.
listening to his stories, listening to how they came to America, how they survived this this recession and that recession,
the recession,
yeah,
all of that.
It's just fun listening.
It's really an honor to work with them, isn't it?
Yep.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
So Pete, where exactly are you able to do business geographically? Is it just San Diego, or can you do business?
Well, I can do California.
Okay.
And a lot of my business is San Diego, Orange County, Riverside County, LA County. But I can do anything in the state. I also have access to nationwide, just about every state.
Okay. So you have partners, like if it happens to be in, let's say, Tennessee, and you would just pass it along to a professional here that's a certified reverse mortgage specialist.
I send it to one lender, and that lender works with one person, but I stay in contact. So if you refer a client to me in Tennessee, I will keep in contact with that homeowner and update you. Hey, things are going fine, or we had a snag. So that way you have that one person contact is me.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful to know. So Pete, if anybody listening today, or when they watch this video, when I convert it to YouTube, if they themselves want to explore reverse mortgage, right, for themselves, or if they have a neighbor, a family member, or a friend, what is the best way for them to contact you?
My mobile phone, it's always with me. I mean, always. That phone number is 858-999-1776.
Wonderful. 1776. It's easy for I always remember your number.
Yep, Independence Reverse Mortgage Solutions. So, or they can email me too. They can email me at pete@reversemortgage1776.com.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in today, and thank you for being our guest, Pete. My name again is Sarah Barker. I'm the founder of Connect Our Elders, and our entire mission is to provide education around resources for our elders, to provide the navigation through those resources to help them figure out what the right options are, and to provide ongoing advocacy leading to empowered aging. So again, Pete, thank you for being our guest today, and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.